Hi, I'm Tom Stevenson, and welcome to Construction Project Management Tips, where we work to manage our projects faster, better, and smarter. Today, we are going to be talking about failure indicators. In particular, we're going to have one indicator that we're going to focus in on today's video, and that's going to be not keeping a clean, well-organized site. And what does that mean about your project? And what does that do to your likelihood of success? And could it have been more successful? Or was it a complete failure as a result of that? Walking around, I see a lot of things on construction sites. I see some very well managed, clean construction sites, and I see ones like the picture below where you have a lot of things going on. And it's really indicative of how the site is being managed. You know, I can see a whole bunch of different nails, and I'm just taking a glance here, sticking up out of the piles of wood, not to mention the waste of lumber that is going on, not to mention how difficult it is to actually maneuver around all of these things. Really, these kind of things that people say, oh, well, we'll clean it up later, we'll clean it up later. It makes everything in the meantime more difficult to do. If you have a very well organized, clean site, you know, everything is in its place, a place for everything. People know what they need to do. There's much better clarity. And I think of John Wooden, who used to coach the UCLA Bruins in basketball in the 60s and 70s. He led them to 10 championships in 12 years, I think 7 in a row, produced some really great players. And those players stayed in touch for their whole lives with him. And one of the things that he was very adamant about was doing the small things really well. And he had this phrase that if you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it over? And you think about this picture on the previous page, not that one, that's a good one. On this page, you know, when you don't do things right and you let them get out of hand, it really means that you're going to end up doing a lot more work, and there's a lot of consequences that go on with having your sites in that kind of frame of organization, shall we say. And there's a lot of things that it's indicative of in other parts of the business. You know, it's kind of that attitude. I think Michael Gerber had this saying, we often spend too much time working in the business and not enough on the business. It's kind of indicative that you don't have systems and processes in place to prevent that from happening. So an unclean, unorganized site leads to a lot of issues, and we'll talk about some of them. You know, I was at another site, and you know, it's not advertising for this particular company, but this is on the positive side. You know, you could sort of see that they put a lot of time and effort into just even how they were posting, you know, their permits, their notice of project, directions to the hospital, emergency contacts if there's any problems with the site. And behind the sign, the site was immaculate. So it was just one indicator of other indicators of the way they go about approaching their work. And, you know, not a huge company, and they've got all their ducks in a row from that perspective. And you see houses being infill built in large urban centers like Toronto as an example. And some are done really, there's quite a dichotomy. Some are well organized and very, very clean. But others, the whole neighborhood has to suffer as a result of it. You know, there's mud everywhere. The sidewalk's impassable. If somebody is barrier-free accessed in a wheelchair, they have to go out onto the road to get around it. It just is a complete disaster. And that can't be good for the business. That can't be good for the neighborhood, for the client, whoever the client is. It has a lot of ripple effects throughout. So I think of it, you know, it shows a complete lack of respect for safety, number one. So if I'm working for that employer, I would think they don't really care about me. How much do I care about them? You know, when they have nails sitting all over the place, and they really don't, they want you to move and do the work, but not clean up the work because that takes time, etc. So that leads, of course, to low morale. You're not going to be highly engaged and highly motivated if that's the case. There was a Gallup poll that was done recently, and really illustrated how large our employee base are actually disengaged in the work that they're involved in, and that there's only a small percentage of engaged employees in general. We definitely want to work at getting more people engaged in their work, and having a very organized, clean site is one of the ways that you can do that. So the morale, of course, that's I'm not going to be pumped up about what I'm doing. I'm not going to see this work as serving some sort of higher purpose. I just see it as one big mess. Impacts quality. Well, how you do anything is how you do everything. That saying, it has a lot of truth in it. You know, there's variations, and anytime I say a phrase, there's some things that you can pick some holes in, but the truth is, on a construction site, if we really don't care about cleanliness, we probably don't care that much about quality either. And so we're probably cutting corners and hiding things and that sort of thing. So it definitely is indicative, one of the indicators. Impacts productivity. Well, if I've got to walk around and get away from all those materials, or those materials are covering over something that I need, it definitely is going to impact productivity. I can't see anything, I can't find anything, I can't move around. It's dangerous if I'm moving ladders and equipment around, and the list goes on and on and on. Adds waste. Well, I could see a lot of pieces of lumber in that pile in the mud that, if they had been, nails pulled, stacked properly, could have been reused for blocking and many other purposes. So it also adds to waste. And in lean construction, we talk about the 8 areas of waste, and that would definitely tie to one of them. Hides problems. You don't see things because you can't. It's all covered over. So you might not see that there's an issue with something. It's all covered with junk or hidden behind stuff. It's not well organized. It's not visible. And when we think about lean, again, in manufacturing, the whole idea was, you have everything visible. You have everything clean so that you could see the machinery, so you could see that if there's anything going wrong. Same with construction. We want to be able to see everything, and we want clarity of everything. And if something's damaged, or a cord's underneath something, that it's going to be cut with something, we won't even know that it's been damaged or something dropped on it. Costs money. Well, if you don't see it costing money in these previous bullets, I don't know what I can say. The amount of time that you spend cleaning it is minuscule to the amount of bonus you get from having extra productivity, extra motivation, extra morale, no accidents, people feeling that they're really engaged in the work that they're doing. That is going to save you a lot of money. But not doing that definitely costs you a lot of money. And time. They intertwine. Previous videos, time, cost, quality. Well, we see it all in this indicator. That's why it's an important indicator. The big 3 constraints and goals in construction are time, cost, quality. And this is affecting all of them. Shows a complete lack of organization. So if you're not organized there, are your submittal logs done well? Are you keeping up to date with your schedule? Are you keeping up with your communications with your trades and your supply chain vendors? Probably there's a lot of other stuff going on there. So one indicator can kind of give you a lot of information about the rest of how things are. And if I'm the client and I come to this site and I see this mess, or I'm the consultant and I see this mess, what am I going to think? I'm going to think not good things. So it's really representative of you, of the business that you're working for, and you can change it. You can definitely change it. There are a lot of things that you can do to improve here. So failure indicator definitely has that aspect of an unclean site, which leads us to that it's not an organized site, and it leads to all of these factors. So we can change the culture, change the result. Change the culture, change the result. Change the way we think about these things, change the result. A big part, think lean. Have respect for people. All of those points on the negative, we can flip them around on the positive, and we can implement them while at the same time having respect for people. But what we have to do is Get everybody involved in this process. And there are systems, plenty of systems around, and tools and techniques that you can invoke to help you change the culture and change the result. And this has to start at the top, and it has to permeate through the whole organization. The 5 S's. 5 S's is a lean process to get you better organized, to have less waste, to make your project much more safety. It's actually, they add the 6th S, which is safety. But the 5 S's will help you get there. Nothing touches the ground. Thinking about how we can organize the site. Maybe we can have trolleys, things on wheels that we move things around. Even our garbage we put into bins that are on trolleys that we move around, so nothing is sitting on the floor. We can always easily move it out of the way. It's a process. Turner Construction is one of the leaders in this particular area. Make it effortless. That's part of the 5 S's. You've got to make it easy. You know, you can't expect people to clean a washroom if you don't have any cleaning supplies. You know, it's got to be made easy. You've got to make sure that you've got proper bins and proper setups and garbage bags so that people can put things in that as before it hits the ground, it goes straight there. And then you do not end up with these messes. So you got to make it effortless, and you got to work on that. And the best way is to engage everybody involved in the work. Collaborate on this so everybody takes ownership of it. Conduct toolbox talks that really get people talking, thinking, and acting in a safe way, and really dig into it. Don't do it like I'm going through the motions and make it boring. Make it interesting, because it is interesting. This is the vibrancy of your business. It really can take hold and be a positive attribute for your business when you get organized and when you have a very clean site. Be a storyteller. People grasp onto stories. You know, tell what you're concerned about and put it into a story. You have lots of experiences, and then there's lots of stories to tell. I have lots of stories to tell in this area, and if I'm presenting something, I would be explaining that particular incident that happened that is memorable, and this is why we need to do this, and it makes it get the message across, and people take hold of it rather than, you know, be sort of monotone and this is what we got to do, we got to have a clean. No, you got to really be passionate about it, and if you're passionate about it, other people will be passionate about it, and they'll become engaged. They'll be more intrinsically motivated for the work they're doing. It'll become more easy. It'll become effortless. And that will make your projects much more successful. So this indicator today, keep your projects clean and organized, and they will be much safer, and you will be much more successful. I'm Tom Stevenson. If you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe. Put comments, questions. We can have good discussions in the comments in the description below the descriptions, and click notifications. And I've got a bunch of videos on different playlists. So let's help build this construction community together, and let's get a good dialogue going. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.